My name is Arda Güler. I'm 19 years old. And on paper, I had made it. I had signed with Real Madrid, the club every kid dreams of, the crest that carries the weight of legends. But dreams don't warn you how lonely they can be when they come true too early. The day I walked into the Santiago Bernabeu, I was greeted with flashbulbs, press, chants, but no one saw the tightness in my chest, the trembling in my hands under the jersey, the thousand thoughts racing behind my smile. People clapped, I waved, but deep down, I felt like a guest in a palace where I didn't belong. My first training session, I tore my muscle. It was small, but enough to take me off the pitch. And in Madrid, if you're not on the pitch, you're nobody. Days passed. I sat in the physio room alone. I listened to laughter echoing from the main training ground. Laughter I wasn't part of. No Modric, no Kroos, no Vinicius. No one really noticed me. Just another young talent. Another fragile promise from abroad. The press wasn't kind. Is he too soft for Madrid? La Liga is no Super League. Promising, maybe, ready, definitely not. I stopped reading, but the whispers, you hear them anyway. Then came the first match day. I was fit again, excited, hopeful. Coach Ancelotti looked at the squad list, paused, moved on. My name wasn't there. I smiled, but inside I was falling, not from failure, but from invisibility. That night I sat alone in my apartment. No friends, no family, just silence. And the city lights of Madrid flickering through the window. I opened my phone, hundreds of messages from Turkey, hopeful ones, loving ones, but none from here, none from the place I was supposed to belong to now. And then came the news that would change everything. Breaking. Kylian Mbappé signs with Real Madrid. The headlines exploded. Galacticos reborn. The new king has arrived. Mbappé in white. A new era begins. The spotlight that had barely brushed past me now shifted completely onto someone who didn't even need it. And I knew from the second he walked through that tunnel, smiling, waving, owning the moment, that things were going to get even harder. Not because he was Kylian Mbappé, but because I had just become the shadow in someone else's empire. Mbappé walked in, and everything changed. Estimated voiceover duration, 15 to 20 minutes. It was a Tuesday morning. The press had already camped outside the training center before sunrise. Security was doubled. A black van rolled in slowly, surrounded by motorcycles, flashing lights, and roaring fans. Mbappé had arrived. Inside the locker room, we all stood still. Even the veterans, Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, looked toward the door. He walked in wearing sunglasses, not speaking, just scanning the room. And when his eyes locked with mine, he didn't smile. He didn't nod. He didn't even blink. He just looked away. That was our first encounter. He said nothing to me, but he said everything. Training started. The tempo was high. Cameras were everywhere, filming every movement, every smile, every shot. We did a passing drill. I was 2 spots away from him in the rotation. The ball came from my side toward him. He stopped it, looked up, then passed it back, skipping me completely. Okay, I thought. Maybe it was nothing. Then it happened again, and again. 3 times in one drill. No eye contact, no communication, just disregard. During the break, he laughed with the others. Vinicius, Rodrigo, even some of the staff. I sat near the bench, tying my laces slower than I needed to. Not because of the laces, but because it gave me something to look down at, so they wouldn't see my face. In the days that followed, it became clear Mbappé wasn't just a superstar. He knew he was one, and he acted like it. He came late to some sessions, joked during tactical briefings, skipped the recovery room. Nobody said anything. Not the staff, not the veterans, because he was untouchable. One afternoon, we had a closed-door scrimmage, full intensity. I was on the starting side. Mbappé was too. At one point, I received a pass from Modric and took a quick touch to turn forward. Mbappé, out of nowhere, lunged in. Hard. He clipped my ankle. I fell, wincing. Not injured, but stung. I looked up. He stood over me, hand on hip. In Madrid, we play fast, not Turkish slow motion. That was the first time he spoke directly to me. No one laughed. No one defended me either. The silence was worse than the tackle. I stood up, didn't reply, and kept playing. But something inside me began to shift. A storm was building, quiet, but growing. After training, I stayed behind, practiced free kicks, ball control, passing patterns, alone. Except one person came back. Modric. He stood silently near the sideline, watching, then walked over. "Don't answer with words," he said. "Answer with the ball, with your work. That's how you survive here." I nodded, but I didn't feel strong. I felt small, and yet something inside me refused to break. That night, I received a DM from an anonymous account. "Mbappé says you're too soft to last here. He bets you'll be loaned out by winter." I never replied, but I screenshotted it and saved it. As a reminder, they didn't know yet, but I had no intention of leaving, no intention of surrendering. Mbappé might be the king, but I was going to become the ghost he couldn't ignore. A week passed, then 2. Mbappé had taken over everything. He got his own private space in the locker room. His meals were served earlier. His entourage, always nearby. Even the press officers spoke to him differently. One afternoon, before a team meeting, I walked into the locker room. Everyone was already seated. There was one seat left, next to Mbappé. I hesitated. As I moved to sit, he spread his gym bag on the bench. No words, just a silent message. Not here. I stood there holding my notebook. Every eye in the room flicked toward us, then quickly looked away. I walked to the back and stood for the entire session. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed in the gym. From 9 p.m. to nearly 2 in the morning. Sprint work, core strength, Ball control, no music, no noise, just the sound of my breath and the echo of the ball. The janitor walked past twice, didn't say anything. He just gave me a nod, like he knew. Mbappé kept shining. 2 goals in a friendly, 1 no-look assist. His name was trending worldwide. And me? I was the background. Sometimes not even on the bench. But I was watching. Every move, every word, every little sign of weakness. Not to mock, to prepare. The breaking point came during a closed media day. We had to play a short scrimmage for the cameras. I was with the substitutes, Mbappé with the starters. We were told to keep it light. Don't overdo it, the coach said. But I didn't listen. Not that day. The ball came to me in midfield. I nutmegged 1 player, dribbled past 2 more. Mbappé came in with speed. I feinted right, dropped left. He slid. Too late. I was gone. The crowd, even the staff, gasped. I crossed the ball into the box. Goal, silence, then applause. But not from the crowd. From Ancelotti. He clapped once. And Mbappé? He stood still, hands on hips, watching me, like he had just seen me for the first time. In the locker room afterward, I sat alone again. But this time, someone joined me. Tony Kroos. He sat, didn't say a word for a few moments, then leaned in and whispered, "He knows now. You're not a tourist. You're a problem." I didn't smile. Not yet. Because I wasn't finished. The next day, Mbappé came in later than usual. He passed by me in the hallway, paused, looked at me. "Nice move yesterday," he said. "Let's see if you can do it when it counts." I looked him dead in the eye. "I'm not here for the clips. I'm here to stay." He chuckled, walked away, but that was the moment it changed. For both of us. Tension doesn't always come with shouting. Sometimes, it's the way someone ties their laces next to you, the way they breathe when you speak, or how they celebrate when you don't score. Mbappé and I, we never argued. Not once. But the war, it was constant. Passing drills turned into contests. Who could hit the hardest ball? Who would finish quicker? Who would avoid eye contact the longest? In one rondo session, the coach paired us together. Same circle. 6 players, 1 in the middle. The goal, keep the ball moving. I passed. Mbappé let the ball roll past him, on purpose. Looked down, raised his hands, smirked. "Bad pass." I nodded, said nothing. Next round. His turn in the middle. I pinged the ball so fast to his legs, it clipped him and rolled away. I walked past him. Bad touch. The circle gasped. Someone chuckled. He didn't. Days turned into weeks. I trained harder than I ever had in my life. Shooting practice in the rain. Sprint drills until I threw up. I watched his clips on YouTube, not to admire, but to analyze, to learn his habits, his weak foot, his rhythm. If I couldn't beat him in status, I'd beat him in silence. But it wasn't just between us anymore. Vinicius started pulling me aside after training. "Don't let him get in your head, hermano. You've got something he doesn't. You still care. Modric called me into the video room. You see the game differently. You think. He reacts. Even the kit man, Miguel, slipped me a note one day. You remind me of a young Raul. Don't stop. Then came the media whispers. Tension between Mbappé and Madrid's wonder kid? Why does Arda Güler always play on the opposite side of the pitch? Are there two teams inside one squad? No one confirmed it, but everyone felt it. At lunch, we sat 4 tables apart. In training, we never passed unless forced. During warm-ups, he'd go right, I'd go left. And yet, something was changing. I was no longer invisible. I was undeniable. October came, injury crisis hit. 2 midfielders down, a winger suspended. Coach turned to me. You're starting. And it wasn't just any match. It was the derby. Real Madrid versus Atletico. At home, full stadium, all eyes on us. Mbappé looked at the team sheet, saw my name next to his. He didn't say a word, but his eyes said everything. The storm was about to break. Not with fists, not with words, but with 90 minutes of football and the whole world watching. The Bernabeu was vibrating. 85,000 people packed in, lights like stars, drums beating like war, and I was finally in the starting 11. Real Madrid versus Atletico. The derby. No room for fear, no space for mistakes. Mbappé sat 2 rows in front of me in the tunnel. He stretched calmly, chewing gum. Cameras caught every blink he made. I stood behind him, ignored, unseen, until he turned around just for a moment. Try not to embarrass the badge. I didn't blink. I won't. That's your job. He froze, only for a second, then smiled. The cold kind. He turned back around, the whistle blew, and for the first 15 minutes, I was invisible. No touches, no space, no passes from him, but I waited. In the 22nd minute, the ball broke loose on the left wing. I darted in, collected it, dropped my shoulder, cut inside. Boom, clipped, free kick. I placed the ball down. Deep breath. I looked at the wall, then at Mbappé, standing wide, not watching me, ignoring me. I struck. Over the wall, bar and in, goal. The stadium erupted. I didn't celebrate. I walked to the corner flag, knelt, and pointed to the badge. The camera zoomed in, tears in my eyes. Not of joy, of release. Mbappé jogged past me slowly, said nothing. But his game changed after that. He pressed harder, dribbled deeper, tried to shine brighter. It was like he had something to prove. Suddenly, second half, minute 68, ball on the right. I overlapped. He had it. He looked at me, paused, then passed for the first time ever. I crossed it without thinking. Goal. We both celebrated, separately, but the crowd noticed. The commentators noticed. The whole world noticed. Final whistle. 2-1 to Madrid. One goal from me, one assist from him. But that night, something shifted. Not in the standings, not in the stats, in the balance. Press conference after the game. Arda, how does it feel to score your first in a derby? It wasn't about scoring. It was about finally speaking, without saying anything. Mbappé didn't speak to media that night. He just walked past the cameras. But he looked at me as he passed, paused, then said under his breath, "I underestimated you." I nodded. "I know." And that's when the rivalry became respect. Uneasy, unspoken, but real. The day after the derby, I woke up to over 600 unread messages. Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, even 2 emails from brands I'd never heard of. My name was trending worldwide, not as a wonder kid, not as a prospect, just a RDA. No last name needed anymore. In the locker room that morning, it was quiet. Different quiet. Not the cold, awkward kind I had gotten used to. This time, it was awareness. I walked in and didn't get ignored. Rodrigo fist-bumped me. Valverde patted my back. And Mbappé? He looked up from his locker, said nothing. But for the first time, he nodded. And that was enough. The media exploded. Arda Güler, Real Madrid's silent killer. Mbappé passed to Arda the moment everything changed. Madrid's new prince has arrived. Some fans started asking for both of us to start together every game. Some wanted me over him. The pressure wasn't just on me anymore. Now, it was on us. Behind the scenes, there was friction. Brand managers pushed. Mbappé's team didn't like how fast I was rising. There were reports they asked for more visibility for him in team content. I didn't care. I wasn't chasing cameras. I was chasing respect. Training intensified. We were on opposite sides again. But it wasn't war anymore. It was a test. A sparring match. Every run, every feint, every shot. Iron sharpening iron. And then came El Clasico. Barcelona away. Coach pulled me aside the night before. "I'm putting you both in. Together. You'll start right behind him. Let's see how far this can go." We didn't speak before the match. Not a handshake. Not a word. But on the pitch, something clicked. First half, I slipped a pass between two defenders. Mbappé latched on. Goal. He turned, pointed at me. No smile, but no ego either. Second half, he got fouled. Free kick, edge of the box. He walked up, then stepped aside. "You take it," he said. I paused. He didn't repeat it, just stepped back. I curled it into the top corner. Do shunya. Game over. And when the final whistle blew, we didn't celebrate apart. We didn't chest bump, just a look, and the smallest grin on his face, like we'd finally understood. This wasn't about who was bigger. It was about what we could be together. Back in the dressing room, he walked past my locker. "You're not a shadow anymore." I looked at him. "Neither are you." That was the night we both stopped playing for ourselves and started playing like Madridistas. The game may end after 90 minutes, but the story doesn't. After the Clásico, Madrid was electric. The streets filled with fireworks. Billboards flashed our faces. One side, Mbappé in full sprint. The other, me, eyes up, hands raised. Adidas called. Nike responded. Then came Red Bull, EA Sports, even cologne companies. They all wanted one thing. Arda x Mbappé, rivalry, conflict, headlines. But they didn't want the real story. They wanted drama. A photo shoot was scheduled, just us two. We showed up in silence, stood back to back in full kits. The photographer asked, "Can you look like you don't trust each other?" Mbappé raised an eyebrow. "I trust him more than most." The room went quiet. I didn't speak. I just smiled slightly. Like revenge had already been served, and now we were simply cleaning the table. But behind the scenes, something darker brewed. Online, fans took sides. Mbappé is carrying this team. Arda's the future. He's the soul of Madrid. Clips were edited to look like we ignored each other. Some fake subtitles. One video even falsely claimed he called me just a kid. None of it was real, but it spread like wildfire. And soon, even the locker room felt colder again. Mbappé stopped doing interviews. I turned off comments. And still, we played, week after week, perfectly. Double assists, link-up goals. Moments that should have gone viral for football. But they went viral for the wrong reasons. Because the world doesn't like peace. It craves tension. One night after training, we stayed late. Just us two. We passed in silence. One touch, two touch, volleys. Then he finally said it. "You ever wish you'd failed the first time?" I paused. "Every day. But I don't wish it now." He nodded. "Me neither. I just wish we could play without everyone watching our shadows." I looked at him. "Then stop letting them define you." From that day on, we stopped playing for them. We started playing for Madrid. And for ourselves, we stopped doing side interviews. No more Versus brand deals. No more solo PR campaigns. And what happened? They said we were cold, detached, not giving fans what they want. But on the pitch, we were fire, lightning in human form, a silent war machine made of respect and rhythm. Rivalry didn't break us. Fame tried. But football saved us. It was the night everything mattered. Champions League semi-final. Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Bernabeu full. Sky shaking. The air felt historic. For me, it wasn't just a game. It was the answer to a single question I'd been carrying for a year. Do I finally belong here? I started on the left, Mbappé on the right. It was like we were opposites in orbit, yet we never collided. Minute 17. Mbappé to Arda. One-touch pass. Return ball. Goal. Bernabeu thundered. We didn't celebrate. We just looked at each other. Two nods. One meaning. We're finally speaking the same language. Second half. Minute 64. I sprinted after a loose ball. A reckless challenge. I heard the pop before I felt it. Left knee. I dropped. The world slowed. I clutched the grass, not from pain, but from fear. I looked up. The bench was in chaos, the staff running, and then Mbappé. He was the first to reach me. He knelt. "Don't move. I'm here." I stared at him, not blinking, just breathing. They stretched me off. I held my tears until the tunnel swallowed the stadium noise. But what I didn't know, as I was wheeled away, Mbappé turned to the crowd, raised both hands, and began clapping. Slow, deliberate, personal. One by one the fans stood. Then the whole stadium, 85,000 people, applauding me. Not a goal, not a trophy, just me. After the match, which we won. I sat in the hospital bed, leg wrapped, future uncertain. My phone buzzed. One message from Mbappé. "You made them believe again. You made me believe again. Rest. We'll keep your place warm." I stared at the screen, then cried for the first time in a year. Not because I was broken, because I was finally whole. 3 months later, I returned to training. The media was waiting. "Are you ready to take your place again?" I smiled. I never lost it. It was always mine. I just needed time to remind everyone who I am. And Mbappé? He no longer walked ahead of me. We walked side by side. Two egos, two fires, two names, no longer rivals. Now, legacy. This wasn't just about football. It was about identity, silence, ego, and respect. I didn't beat Mbappé. I outlasted the noise, and in the end, he heard me.